Ever imagine being that calm voice during like a crazy medical emergency?
Yeah.
That's the power of an emergency medical dispatcher, right?
Right.
And today, we're going to deep dive into how you can snag one of these high-stakes jobs.
Awesome.
It's a rewarding job, too. Think of this like your own personal interview prep guide with insights from RoleCatcher's resources on the career itself. We've got some common interview questions we're going to go over, and even some of their AI tools to help you just crush it.
Sounds good.
What's really interesting to me about this role is you're like the first link in the chain of survival.
You are. It's almost like being an air traffic controller for medical emergencies.
Wow, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. You're not just sending help, you're often the one providing life-saving instructions before the paramedics even get there.
Right.
It can be pretty intense.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a 247 job, too.
Right.
Emergencies don't really care about your schedule.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't punch a clock.
Okay.
So the career guide actually highlights, the impact this can have on your lifestyle. And it's something to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's get you prepped with some common interview questions. They might, throw your way. Imagine you're in the hot seat
Okay.
and they ask you, describe your experience working in a fast-paced, high-stress environment.
Oh, that's a classic.
How would you approach that?
Well, this is where you really want to showcase your ability to stay calm and effective, even when things get crazy.
Okay.
It's not enough to just say, I work well under pressure. You've got to go deeper. Think of specific situations where you actually demonstrated those skills.
So give me an example.
Sure. Like, did you ever have to handle a rush of customers during the holidays when you were working retail?
Yeah, tons of people.
Exactly.
Total chaos.
Or maybe you volunteered at an event that required, like, quick thinking and problem solving on the fly.
Yeah, like maybe a concert or something like that where something went wrong.
Yeah, something like that. You've got to have those stories ready to go.
Those are really good examples. It's all about showing, not telling.
Absolutely.
I feel like they might even follow up with, can you give me an example of a time you had to make a difficult decision under pressure?
Yeah.
So having a specific story can really, make your answer pop.
It makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Now, another common question you're likely to get is, how do you handle difficult or upset callers?
Oh, yeah.
This is a big one.
That's a tough one.
It's a crucial skill for this job. You're going to encounter people in really tough situations, lots of emotions.
It's like talking someone down from a ledge, almost. You've got to be able to stay calm, validate their feelings, but at the same time, guide them towards a solution.
Exactly.
Are there any specific techniques you'd recommend for that?
Definitely. Active listening is key. Paraphrasing what the caller is saying to make sure you really understand, using a calm and reassuring tone of voice, asking clarifying questions to get the info you need. Those are all super helpful.
So it's like a whole verbal toolkit, right?
It is. For de-escalation, information gathering, it's all connected.
That makes a lot of sense. And, while we're on the topic of staying calm under pressure, the career guide emphasizes how important self-care is.
Oh, absolutely.
For managing the emotional toll of a job like this. I mean, it's not just about handling the calls. It's about taking care of yourself.
Could not agree more.
So you can continue to help others. You've got to put your own oxygen mask on first, type of thing.
Exactly. And, bringing that up in the interview shows you're thinking long term.
Yeah.
About your well-being, your ability to do the job well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, switching gears a bit. How would you answer this question? How do you stay up to date on the latest emergency medical procedures and protocols?
That's a good one.
It's a tricky one.
I would imagine certifications like, emergency medical dispatcher, EMT, even CPR would be valuable here, right?
Yeah, for sure. It shows you're committed to learning and staying current.
It's like a doctor constantly learning about new treatments.
Right.
It shows you're dedicated to providing the best possible care.
I like that analogy. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into what the Career Guides talks about with career progression. You could start as an entry-level dispatcher, but there's opportunities to specialize, maybe go into a management role, or even train new dispatchers.
It's true. There's definitely room for growth.
So it's not just a job, it's a potential career path.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's tackle this one. How do you prioritize emergency calls and determine which ones require immediate attention? This seems like, a really high-pressure scenario where critical thinking is super, super important.
You're not wrong. They want to know if you can assess a situation with limited information and make good decisions. Obviously, you'll learn protocols and training, but they're looking for that instinct.
Right.
that ability to read between the lines
Yeah.
and prioritize effectively,
So it's a combination of following the rules and using your judgment, right?
pretty much.
Based on what you've got in front of you, could you give me like an example of a situation where those skills would come into play?
Sure. Imagine you get two calls at the same time, right?
Yeah.
One's about a possible heart attack and the other's a fender bender.
Oh, wow.
Both need attention, of course.
Yeah.
But the heart attack, that's got to take priority, right?
Obviously, yeah. Immediate threat to life.
Exactly. So you've got to get the essential details from both callers super fast, but make sure help is on the way to that heart attack first. They might even ask, have you ever been in a situation where you had to make a snap decision with limited info? What was
Yeah.
the outcome? Have those examples ready.
So again, having that real life example can really, showcase how you think on your feet.
Yep.
Now, this next question might seem pretty straightforward,
Okay.
but it's important to nail it.
Okay, what is it?
How do you maintain accuracy and attention to detail in a fast-paced environment?
That's a good one.
One wrong digit, that could have some serious consequences.
No kidding.
So what do you think about that one?
Well, here's where you highlight your organizational skills, how you focus under pressure. Do you double check everything?
Okay.
Do you take meticulous notes?
Uh-huh.
Maybe you're just really good at remembering details, even when things are crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever your method is, be clear about it and explain how it helps you stay accurate and efficient.
Yeah, I bet being comfortable with technology is super important too, right?
It's essential.
Given all the systems you have to use.
Oh, yeah. The career guide even mentions that lots of dispatch centers use some pretty fancy software to manage calls, track responders, and access, really important information. So, highlight those tech skills in the interview. It can give you a real leg up.
It's like saying you're fluent in the language of, emergency response technology, which is important, I imagine.
It is.
Okay, let's talk about confidentiality. How do you handle confidential or sensitive information? This is a big one, right?
That's huge.
You're dealing with people when they're at their most vulnerable.
That's right. This question is all about testing whether you understand the ethical and even legal parts of the job. You got to show them you take confidentiality very seriously
Okay.
and understand that protecting sensitive info is paramount. It's not a joke.
Yeah. So mentioning HIPAA compliance, if that's relevant to where you are, would be a good idea.
For sure.
And really emphasizing that it's not just about following rules, it's about building trust with the caller,
Absolutely.
ensuring their safety.
Exactly. It shows you get the weight of the situation and the responsibility.
Now let's shift gears a little bit to teamwork.
Okay.
Here's another question for you. How do you communicate effectively with first responders and other emergency personnel?
Interesting.
Because, you are that link between the caller and the help they need.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that one?
Clear, concise, calm communication. That's what it's all about. Plain language, no jargon, repeating back critical information, staying professional, even when things are crazy. That's all key.
Yeah. So it's all about being part of that team, working towards the same goal, getting the right help to the right place as quickly and as safely as possible.
That's the mission.
Now, don't forget about active listening in this context too, right?
Oh, of course not.
It's not just about giving instructions. It's also about receiving, understanding, feedback from the people in the field.
It's a two-way street, for sure.
All about the best possible outcome for the person who needs help.
Okay, this next question kind of delves into the emotional side of the job a little bit.
Okay.
How do you handle the emotional toll of working in emergency medical dispatch? Let's be real, this is not a job for the faint of heart.
It's not for everyone, that's for sure.
No.
It takes a certain kind of resilience to handle the stress and the emotional weight that comes with it, day after day.
Yeah. And they're not looking for someone who pretends it doesn't affect them, right? They want someone who recognizes the challenges, but also has healthy ways to cope,
Right.
to process those emotions.
So things like exercise, mindfulness, talking to a therapist, having a supportive network outside of work.
Yeah.
Those are all important to mention, I think.
They are. It shows you're self-aware and that you're proactive about your well-being.
Okay, let's wrap up this question marathon with a bit of a curveball.
All right, hit me.
Here we go. How do you handle situations where there's a language barrier between you and the caller? This is a tough one, I imagine.
It can be.
It shows how resourceful you are and how adaptable you are.
It's about thinking outside the box, using every tool you have. You might have access to translation services.
Okay.
Or maybe you rely on visual aids or gestures, even basic phrases in their language.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whatever it takes.
And I imagine this goes back to that active listening too, right?
Big time.
Trying to pick up on cues, understanding the tone, making sure that the caller feels heard, even if you don't speak the same language.
You got it. And being patient,
Right.
recognizing it might take a little longer.
Yeah, okay. Bet.
The goal is always the same. Help someone in need no matter what.
No matter what. Okay.
That's the heart of it all. That's a really good point. It really highlights those challenges, right? Those diverse challenges you might face as an emergency medical dispatcher. Now, we've covered a lot of ground on these interview questions, but let's step back for a second
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
The career guide actually mentions that the demand for emergency medical dispatchers is growing faster than average.
Really? That's interesting. Why is that? Are more people calling 911 these days, or what's going on?
Well, it's partly due to the fact that we have an aging population.
Okay.
So there are more people experiencing age-related health issues. And of course, accidents and emergencies just happen.
Right. That's the reality of life, unfortunately. So it's not just about answering the calls, but it's about being part of a system that's constantly evolving
Right.
to meet the needs of, a changing community.
Exactly. And that's where career advancement comes in.
Okay.
The career guide outlines different stages in your career,
Okay.
from entry level all the way up to leadership and specialized roles.
Oh, wow. So you're not just stuck in one spot.
Nope.
There's potential to, grow and specialize within this career.
Absolutely. As you gain experience, you might want to specialize in dispatching for air ambulances, for example,
Okay.
or handling hazardous materials incidents, or even training new dispatchers.
Wow, that's interesting.
The possibilities are pretty diverse.
That's fantastic for anyone who wants to keep learning and expanding their skill set.
Exactly.
So we've talked a lot about how to answer these really tough interview questions.
Right.
But let's be real. Prepping for an interview can be super nerve-wracking.
It can be.
That's where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. This is where things get really interesting. Their CV or resume builder is like having a personal assistant for your application.
Okay.
It analyzes job descriptions and suggests keywords and phrases that will make your skills stand out to the hiring manager.
So it's not just about listing your experience.
Right.
It's about tailoring it to the specific job.
Exactly. You want your resume to speak the same language as the hiring algorithms. A lot of companies use applicant tracking systems these days.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
It increases your chances of actually getting noticed, in that giant stack of applications.
It's like a secret weapon in the job hunting game.
It kind of is.
I love that. Okay, so what about practicing for the actual interview itself?
Oh, they have tools for that too.
Do they really?
Yeah, their AI-powered interview practice is like having a personal coach in your pocket.
I love that, a coach in your pocket.
You can record yourself answering common interview questions,
Okay.
and the AI gives you feedback on your tone of voice, your body language, and even the content of your answers.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty cool, right?
It's like having a mirror that not only shows you what you look like,
Yeah.
but also tells you how to improve your posture and your delivery.
It can be really helpful for people who get nervous during interviews.
Oh, for sure. Because sometimes you don't even realize you're doing things that might not come across the way you want them to.
Right, and the AI can pick up on those things.
So it helps you identify areas for improvement that you might not even be aware of.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, any final words of wisdom for our listener as they gear up for this interview?
I think preparation is key. The more you research the role of the organization, the more you practice your answers.
Yes.
The more confident you'll feel walking into that interview room. And don't forget those RoleCatcher resources we've been talking about.
Yeah.
They can really give you an edge in landing this amazing job.
I couldn't agree more. Preparation breeds confidence, and confidence shines through in an interview.
I love that. So true. Now we've talked about all the technical aspects of this job, the interview process, even the emotional toll. But there's one crucial aspect we haven't really touched on yet.
What's that?
Finding meaning in the work itself.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ready to dive into that a little bit?
Absolutely. It's about connecting what you're good at with a mission that really means something to you
Yeah.
and makes a difference, a positive impact on the world.
So you're saying that being fulfilled in this job, it goes beyond just like the tasks and the paycheck.
Oh, absolutely. It's about connecting your talents to a bigger purpose.
Right.
And that purpose can be incredibly motivating, especially in a role as demanding as this.
So as our listener is prepping for this interview, they should really think about why they want this job.
Yeah.
What is it about helping others in this specific way that drives them? What makes this job meaningful to them?
Those are such good questions to think about because when you can really express that sense of purpose, you not only become a stronger candidate, but you also set yourself up for a more fulfilling career.
It's like finding that sweet spot where your passion and skills and impact all come together.
Exactly. A recipe for success and satisfaction.
I love that. Well, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
That's good.
We've really explored what it means to be an emergency medical dispatcher,
We have.
from the crazy challenges to the heartwarming rewards.
And everything in between.
We hope our listener feels ready to tackle that interview
Yeah,
with confidence and clarity.
I think they are.
We covered it all, the tough interview questions, the importance of self-care, even how AI can give you a boost as a candidate.
We did.
But most importantly, we talked about the impact this job can have on people's lives.
Saving lives, really.
Exactly. It's a role that takes skill and compassion,
For sure.
dedication, and a willingness to face tough situations with grace and determination.
You got it.
And like we always say, preparation is key.
It really is.
So research the roles, practice your answers, and don't forget to check out those RoleCatcher resources.
They're amazing.
They can be your secret weapon
Absolutely.
for navigating this whole job search process.
They've got your back.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of emergency medical dispatching.
It was fun.
We wish you all the best in your job search and your future career.
You'll be great.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep learning.
And never underestimate the power of a calm voice in a moment of crisis.
That's so true. And keep those good vibes flowing.
Always.
We'll catch you on the next episode.